Hey guys, I'm back and I got another unit here for you. This time we're going to talk about perspective, but some easy cheats because, you know, you need to know the rules. We've already gone over that. And if you don't have it, go back and do it, right? But once you got that down, there's got to be a faster way to get things done sometimes, right? That sometimes, just plotting everything out to that point can be a little bit tedious for maybe even just a sketch, right? Like you want to draw a sketch that is based in correct perspective, but maybe not tightly adhering to it because it's just a concept sketch, right? So I'm going to show you a couple tricks here that we can get into and see if I don't know, see if this is makes it easier on you. First thing I would suggest is, let's see. First one I would suggest is do a pre-grid. This is one cheat, okay? A pre-grid would be like, let's say I'm doing 2-point perspective and I just go like this, 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 this. I've got this off of one and then I can go off the other. And I'm just kind of drawing this pre-grid. We can already see how this makes a lot of sense, right? So if I want to draw within this pre-grid, I can just loosely sketch. I'm like, okay, well, my building would be, let's do an easy line here. My building or my mech base might be here. So this one's going to go back here. I want it about this big, and it's going to follow roughly that line. This would go up here, and this one is going to go back to there. I know this one will come to here. It'll follow that, and this one will come to here. It'll follow that. So there's a nice rough box, right? And you can even make it rougher. Like, I'm going to guess right here. I'm going to say, okay, well, here's this, and I'm going to kind of guess, and I'm kind of guess, and I can even start to like play with it a little bit, like bend it in, right? And I'm going to say, okay, well, this one's coming down to here. I'm going to bend this one in, and I'm going to, right? You can start to get looser with your forms. You can get really sketchy with it, right? So play with it a little bit. Just say, okay, well, I'm working within this dimension, right? So let's see. Now I've got this, and now I've got this kind of bendy base, and this is a lot easier for just sketching, right? Okay, so that's one way to do it, is to lay down a little bit of an easy grid. And it doesn't have to be like so many lines, right? It can just be a few lines that you work off as a base. The other one would be kind of know, for example, your top and bottom. Like, let's say I know my bottoms here and my tops here, that at this point, it's going to be wider than this point. It doesn't have to be, how can I explain this? Let's see. If I do it like, I'm going to have this, and this is going to be our base, right? But what happens if I start to make it wider here? Well, I've now confused things, right? Like I've drawn it this way. So when you're kind of roughing something in, just realize that the point closest to you versus how, as those lines go away, these lines have got to be getting smaller. How much smaller? Like, for example, let's say I'm drawing this object here and I want it to go away there. 1/fraction of a millimeter, they're getting smaller, but they're not getting larger. Never make it larger as it goes away to the vanishing point. That distorts the object, that distorts perspective and everything, right? So if you're just going to kind of sketch something just casually, just realize that, okay, well, I know that it has to get smaller as it goes further away. So, you could just kind of rough in like that, right? As soon as you start to say, well, it might get larger or it might get smaller, the box gets almost like what we were talking about. It looks like somebody who doesn't know perspective at all, right? So guys, 2 quick cheats here. Draw a pre-grid that doesn't have to be heavily defined with lots of lines, but just kind of roughed out and everything, right? Or just realize that as things go further away, they get smaller. So if you've got parallel lines, they're going to get smaller. and they don't get larger. Okay, that's the key point. That's where you get things looking really, really wonky and people know that you don't know what you're talking about or don't know what you're drawing. Okay, so realize that as it goes, it's either going to stay looking roughly the same or it's going to start to get smaller. Those are two simple ways that once you've got the foundation of perspective, you can kind of not have to plot it out every single time and just find rough ways to sketch things out, make concept sketches much easier for you, and it'll help you as you move ahead in this course.